Hello, all of my super awesome tech friends learning from home. It's great to be with you again. Even if I can't see you right now, we're all together, well, somehow. Anyways, this is Mr. Ray, and we're going to rock out another super awesome 3D printing and CAD lesson. So let's get right to it. There is our super awesome thing. I want to take a minute today and review some of our basic things because it's easy to lose sight of why we're doing this. So the whole thing about 3D printing, what makes it special is that 3D printing brings your ideas to the real world, something from your brain that you want someone else to see. Before now, without 3D printing, you'd have to get a block of wood, a sharp knife, and sort of whittle it down, maybe a chisel and some rock or some paper mache. 3D printing is absolutely phenomenal. It is a means of creation that never existed before, and we're all lucky enough to be able to take advantage of it. Now, to kind of give us a better illustration of what 3D printing is, so here is a 3D printer. And some of my veterans know what is coming and what it's going to make. This is very sped up. This is an Ultimaker. It's a wonderful 3D printer, and it's doing a great job. And it is making something that'll end up being about 8 inches tall. So some of my friends who have already seen this are kind of guessing. If you don't know what this is, go ahead and give some guesses. Kind of fun to try to see if you can figure out what it's going to be if you haven't done it previously. And we're going to talk about how this works a little bit. I'm going to zip through this. I've spent more time on this in the beginning of the course, but I want to make sure that we understand these concepts. And we can see, of course, when it's done, it is an 8-inch tall Pikachu. That took 21 hours. So we know that 3D printing is not an instant gratification technology. It's phenomenal, and it's a great creative tool. It's not always the super fastest one, but it's easier than getting a piece of wood and then a sharp knife. So we're not as worried about that. Now we're understanding then that 3D printing describes the 3 axes, 3 dimensions or 3 axes, the X, the Y, and the Z axis. We've known before in our classes, and we do this in CAD, the X goes side to side, the Y goes front to back, and the Z up and down. Examples of things that can be made with a 3D printer, a variety of toys. There's that owl again. We've seen that one before, pretty cool. There are 3D printers that actually make shoes. These are made by New Balance. These are fancy, pretty ones. Imagine how cool it would be if you could design your own shoes. Not ones that just fit perfectly for your feet, although that would be pretty awesome, but ones that really expressed your thought and what you would want. They may not be shoes for other people would like, but they're shoes that you would like, and that's the whole thing for it. This is an example of a 3D printer that makes food. These up here, looking delicious, these are basically the same as like Fruit Loops, but in this case we have fruit cubes, fruit dodecahedrons, pyramids, all sorts of neat stuff. Also making pasta. Larger 3D printers, as we know, a super large one can actually make a car. Now, the engine and the transmission and the drivetrain axles, those are still metal, but the body and the majority of the parts are actually made on a very large 3D printer using carbon fiber. Super neat. We see that this was made on a very large 3D printer, meant to keep someone out of the rain as they're sitting down. Kind of cool, and we can get much larger than that. So 3D printing doesn't just have to be plastic. We saw it can also be made of food. And in this case, they were able to use cement to make their very own castle. Now, my friends, looking at these lines, we know that these are very important. Heretofore, those lines shall be referred to as layers, because that is how we build things in 3D printing. Super fun. This was a house made in China. What was phenomenal is on a single 3D printer using cement, it made 10 of these houses in 24 hours at a cost of only $5,000 in materials. So imagine making a house in 2 hours. 2.5 hours. Absolutely phenomenal. Now, understanding how it works is important for us mastering really what we want to be able to create. So if we think about how it works, we want to think about Legos and then building by layers. This cake, delicious though it may look, was not made on a 3D printer, but it is a wonderful illustration of building something Using layers. So they started with the red layer, then the orange, the yellow, the green, the blue, the purple, and it got progressively taller and taller and taller. That's the same thing that we'll see here. So here's a quick video of that very large 3D printer that made that castle. We're not going to watch the whole video, but we can see the basic components. This is how it works. Now, we might be familiar. My friends, I'm going to let you shout it out to the room. What is this called? Think about our Goldilocks. Shout it out to your room, mom and dad, or just to yourself in the universe. That is our extruder. So a very special type of cement is coming out of that extruder and is going around building layer by layer by layer. We're going to skip ahead through that. So again, kind of hammering through how our 3D printer works. If we're building our Lego pirate dude here, we would not start with the hat. We start with the legs, then the body, then the head, then the hat. Same thing with some other ones over there. If we were building this Lego house, gorgeous as it is, we wouldn't start with the green roof. Instead, the idea is we start with one layer, the white layer here, and then a layer of red, and another, and another, and another, and it gets progressively taller and taller and taller. We see the same thing with our boat. That's the finished product, and starting there with the layer of red, and then we're getting progressively higher up and higher up. Now, one of the things that's important as we go into our next step here is understanding with 3D printing, who is the boss? Really, more specifically, who tells the printer what to do? The printer is phenomenal. It is an engineering marvel. You can argue it's the pinnacle of human scientific development going over 2,000 years. Tons of inventions and amazing leaps forward put into it. But for all of that, it is dumb. It cannot think. It doesn't create on its own. It is not the boss of you. You are the boss of it. It is a tool. So you are in charge, but how? We don't just yell at a printer to make stuff. Instead, we use CAD. Now, my friends, before I go ahead, let's see who can yell out to the room. CAD is an acronym. Yell out to the room, what does each letter stand for? Each letter stands for a word. I'm going to give you 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Hopefully you didn't startle mom and dad as he yelled out. CAD stands for Computer Assisted Design. So the computer is helping you make stuff. So really, to sort of illustrate that, we've talked about before, since you can't yell at the printer, you need to get your idea, so whatever's in your brain, over onto a computer, which then can send it to a 3D printer. In this case, a very unsafe 3D printer. I would never bring this one into a classroom. I'd have a heart attack. There's no walls on this. Someone could reach their hand in and that'd be bad. So as we move forward, let's go ahead and dive into CAD. So first things first, for any of my friends who are new or joining us for the first time, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to log into Tinkercad. Terrific tech friends, let's get rolling. So if you have not already done so, for my friends that are new, we're going to want to go to tinkercad.com and then click on sign in if you already have an account. And here's one of the things. You do not want to use students join your class. I know that seems like a very logical place to go, but that's not the direction we're at today. So we want to log in with an email or username. This gives us a lot more flexibility. So I'm going to use one of ours. So you're just typing in the email and then next. And then the password, which you guys cannot see because it is mine. You have your own. Rock and roll from there. Once we are in this screen, once we get here, this is our this is our main dashboard, and we click on Create New Design, and then we have this page, and we're ready to get to work. So, any of my friends, let's take a second here. Deep breath. If you need to, pause the video, because what you'll need to log into Tinkercad yourself. Mom or dad hopefully have made an account for you. If not, they can now. It takes about 30 seconds. But before we go any farther, we need to go ahead and have you logged into Tinkercad. So I'm going to count down from 5. Go ahead and pause the video to make sure you are good to go. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So let's go ahead and move on from there. So assuming you are now logged in, let's go ahead for a warm-up. We're going to go through some of our basic skills. If you are a veteran, do this anyways. This is something that is going to be as extra practice for you. Tom Brady for the New England Patriots, now the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he knows how to throw a football, but every day he throws football some more because that is practice. We're honing our skills. So we're going to treat this as a warm-up. Also then, for my friends that are new, This is a great way to get us started. Pause the video at any time. What you're going to do on your mouse is left click and then click on that square and drag it on over. Let's drag some basic shapes. So we're going to start with the square, and then what I want you to do, and we can just sort of close that there as needed, you're going to scroll down and give me a diamond. I want a diamond and stars. I want a diamond and a star. And it might take you time to figure this out. And my friends who know what else we're doing, click where it says basic shapes. And we have lots of other things. We can also get, check it out, letters. So I'm going to drag over fun, because who doesn't want to drag fun with them at all times? So I'm going to get the letter F and the letter U, as well as the letter N. I'd like you guys to do the same thing. So the video is going to loop here again, and I'm going to talk over it. Actually, it should have looped again. More fun for us there. So grab a box and grab other shapes as well, but the ones I want you at least to get: box, diamond, star, star, and then spell out the word fun. That is part of our warm-ups. I want you to see that again as we're coming through. Super cool, super easy. Then click on there to get to text and numbers, and we are going to spell out fun. And if you want to drag other shapes, explore a little bit of what this is. This is a wonderful opportunity to do so. You're not on the clock. No one is standing over you. Go ahead and make use of this. This is a great exercise to get ourselves started. If you need more time, go ahead and pause this video. I'm going to count down from 5 again. 5, 4, 3, 2, and uno. Moving on. Pretty cool. If I can move on from there. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So what I'd like you to do now is, this is called our 4 corners exercise. And it is what it sounds like. You're going to get a box and put a box at each of the 4 corners. I want it to be a box. After you do the box, you can do other shapes as well. But I want us to start just with this. Nice, because it's showing that you can get a particular building block, in this case literally a block, on purpose, and put it somewhere with specificity, with your own intentions. You're not just dragging it and hoping that it's somewhere. So this is great practice for our accuracy and understanding how CAD works. If you need to pause, go ahead and pause. I want to count down from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And moving on. Next, we're going to grab yourself a pyramid. And simply, we're going to change that shape. We want to make it taller. The way you will do that is clicking on the little white box at the peak and then whoop, doing the whole Pinocchio, make that thing long. Don't do Pinocchio by telling lies. That would be sad. So let's go ahead and make that tall. And in some cases, I like to say not just tall, but maybe stupidly tall, which is kind of cool. If you are unsure of that skill, check it out here. So to make it clear for everyone, so here we have a shape and we see these white boxes. In order to change how that shape looks, we are going to click on that white box there and then drag that boy up. And that is how we make it taller. Go ahead, pause the video if you need, and get comfortable with this skill. Again, we're not in any kind of rush. I'm going to count down from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And moving on. Super cool, super cool. So here we are. You can read well. The work plane shift. One of the most useful skills we have in CAD is looking at things in 3 dimensions. This is 3D printing, and CAD is a 3-dimensional virtual rendering. So what we want to be able to do is look around a little bit, and that is our work plane shift. There's 2 ways to do it. The first one is I just put my mouse anywhere here in space, and I'm going to right click. I'm going to right click and hold, and when I do, I can wiggle my work plane. I can look at the sides and even the back of that pyramid. The other way to do this is I can come over here to this box and I hold down the left mouse button and I can do the same thing, wiggle and control. I like the right click a little more myself, but you can try it both ways. Super cool, super cool. Now, if you want, take a second, pause the video. No need to rush for any of this. If you're ready to go ahead, here we have some other controls. So we know how to wiggle the work plane around. There are some other tips and tricks that we can and should use. Now, once we've learned to shift our work plane, sometimes, well, it can get a little confusing. We have a lot of different elements. When you are lost, this is a good rule of thumb, when you're lost, always go home. See over here, it's a picture of a house. That's our home. I'm going to click on that and bam, it snaps it right in. Sometimes you also want to look more closely. So this plus sign here, that is going to zoom us in. And the minus sign, as I think you can guess, is going to zoom us out. If we get all the way zoomed in, another way to get out is to click on our home button. This is going to make your life a lot easier to get you back to the beginning. Again, take our time if we need to. Let's go on to our next basic skill. Again, for my friends, this is a good warm-up for us talking about scaling. So we're going to use the left click, the left button on our mouse, and then looking over some of our basic shapes. So we have our box, and watch, we're going to get that box to cover the entire work plane. Clicking that same white little box on the corner like we did when we raised the pyramid, and we see here we have covered the work plane. Now I'm going to get a sphere, and I would like to make that sphere into a fat jelly bean. And I do that by using those white dots and manipulating the shape. So with that in mind, our little warm-up here, our warm-up skill, is I want you to take this box and right now go ahead and click right there. Click on that corner with that little white box there for our red cube, and then click and drag that bad boy so that it covers your entire work plane. Go ahead and pause the video if you need. If you're one of my veterans, you just cranked it out. Great for you. Let's move on. My friends, if you need to pause the video, I'm going to count down from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Very good, very good. Now, my next friends, this is one of our fun ones. We're going to work on enraging the ancient Egyptians. We will do a left click here. So let's get a pyramid. Super fun for getting our pyramid. Now, the trick is we want to get the curvy arrow. Watch how we get the curvy arrow. It's going to help if you change your angle a little bit. So let's manipulate our work plane. And see our curvy arrow. I'm going to click on that bad boy, and I can drag it around any way I choose. Any way I choose. I like to get it to be 180 degrees. That's getting it all the way around. That's pretty solid. So let's watch how we did that again. We're going to find the pyramid. There it is. We're scrolling up and down. It's there. We find our pyramid, and then it'll help you a little bit because when you try to click on it, you might accidentally click on something else. So you want to get a good angle like this. And the curvy arrow, click on that. You see it started at 0, and we want to get it to be 180, and that is flipping it exactly on its tip. Kind of cool, kind of cool. So let's take a look at how we did that. So if we zoom in, we see this white box. That's how we make it taller. We don't want that. Instead, you've got to click on this guy. That is the curvy arrow. And then once we have that, you're able to turn this then 180 degrees. Now, my veterans, I know you know this. That's great. For any of my other friends, take your time, pause the video, give this a shot. I'm going to count down from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now, my friends, let's have a little bit of a challenge. Let's see how long it takes for you to do this. Our veterans know about the rotation challenge. I want you to get 6 of the green roofs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Rotate them so that your screen in Tinkercad looks exactly like this. I will warn you, for my friends who have forgotten, numero 5 here is the tricky boo. That is the tricky one. I'm not going to tell you how to do it. We can work on that in our face-to-face Zoom sessions, but go ahead, everybody. Let's give ourselves a chance. Pause the video, and I want you to get this. I want you to get this. This is one of our best warm-ups and practices. I'm going to count down from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Super cool. Moving on. Next, you will have to left click again because we're going to rock some higher and lower. I got an estrella. We have our star. Let's check out what we're going to do with it now. So first things first, you must click on the star. You got to click it once to select it. Now we see all those neat things. We see the white boxes, but I want you to focus on what looks like the black arrow. Focus on the black arrow there. And once you successfully select that, you can drag it up and down, almost like the estrella is on a yo-yo, like string. Falling stars, haha, that's kind of clever. That's a dad joke, so that's for free. Good. So let's see about how we actually did that. So we have our estrella, and what you want to click on and focus is this guy right here. So this is how we bring shapes higher and then lower. Give yourself a second, work on that skill. I'm going to count down from 5. You can pause the video if you want. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And we're moving on. All right. So practicing our higher lower skill, I want you to do this. Make some stairs. You are going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 boxes. These boxes here are flat on the work plane. This one has been elevated 20 millimeters. So that's exactly at the corner there. And then 40, and then 60, and 81. I want you to only use the black arrowhead there to get them up and down. This is a tool in precision and refining your own manual dexterity. Get their measurements and get it like this. I don't want this to be 21 and this one to be 39 and this one to be 62, because that's how people break their legs walking up and down stairs that have been carelessly designed and built. So go ahead and do this. Now definitely take our time and pause. I'm going to count down from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And pausing and moving on. All right, moving on, my friends, moving on. Next up, we have a really, really useful skill, and this is one that some of our friends have a little bit of trouble with, so let's take some time and check it out. This is how to group things. So let's say we're making a house, and we do that a lot. We have our literal building block. So I get the main part, I'm going to get the roof, and I'm going to use our new higher lower skill. Very good. Exactly 20 millimeters. Getting that over. Now let's say, hey, that's a small house. I don't want to have a small house. I want to have a larger house. So I'm going to change that, but I didn't change the whole house. I changed part of it, and now I got to drag that guy up over there, and I'm dragging the roof. Maybe that's high enough, and is that big enough over there? So I had a shape that I liked, and then I tried to scale it, but since it had 2 different pieces, it didn't really work very well that way. There is a better way, so let's trash that bad boy. Let's start over. Getting another box. This is part of our house. Now we will get our roof. The roof. I'm going to drag that roof up to where it belongs. Sometimes it is tricky to get exactly 20 millimeters, but we have it. And moving ourselves over. Now we're going to group them together. We're going to lock these together. Watch what I do. Out here in outer space, I'm going to click and I'm going to drag. See this red dotted line box? I get that around my desired shapes. And look up here. This is the grouping icon. I'm going to click that. Check it out. They changed color. Now they're the same. Now when I click it up, it is all one new unified cohesive shape. That is how we group, and I think we can see life gets much easier when we do it that way. So let's go over some of these details a little bit, how we group. Let's do this together. Pause the video as needed, or just watch this and that's fine. So I have gotten the base of the house, and I have also gotten a roof. What I have done is I clicked here in outer space and I right click and I dragged this red dotted line box. If you're just watching, great. I'm going to go ahead. If not, go ahead and pause the video now. So next, once I have dragged this red dotted line box, you see that they are both selected. They're in what's called a temporary group. We need to make that permanent. We make that permanent by clicking right here. That is our guy right there. That is the grouping symbol. Once you have done that, you can see they all pretty much change the same color, and then we can make it bigger or smaller as we want. Go ahead and give this a try. Check out these 3 steps and work through this. If you have the pause the video, awesome. That means you're rocking through this. I'm going to count down from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Super cool. Now, let's practice this grouping skill a little bit, and you'll see that the objects don't even actually have to be touching each other. So there we have the house that we just did, and wibble wobble, wibble wobble. Now, look at all these other shapes. I can move these shapes individually because they are not locked together in any way. But watch how I'm grouping them. I clicked in space, and then I dragged that red dotted line box, and now I group them. Now check it out. Click, and then as we change the shape, they get all sorts of crazy funky. Let's have you guys do the same thing. Let's watch that again. So even though I can move that, and let's give it a chance, guys. Go ahead and get some shapes. Doesn't have to be the same ones that I have here. Have them spread about the work plane, and then go into outer space there with your mouse, just like this, and click and drag the red dotted line box around them all, and then group. And now, even though they're not touching, they are still grouped together. That is some funky stuff. Go ahead and give that a try. Count down from 5 I'm going to count down from 5, and you can pause the video. You don't have to count down from 5. That's fine. Or you can count with me. It's very exciting. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Super cool, super cool. Now, if you have the time, we're going to go for another part of the lesson. So grouping is when we put it together. When we ungroup, that's what we call a disassemble. This is totally some bonus work. Don't worry about it if you are sort of at your wit's end. But if you want to go a little farther, this can be an interesting exercise. So let's go ahead and check this out. All right, my super awesome 3D printing tech friends. We are, well, on this page where we usually create on the work plane. But right now, we are not going to create. We will be creative, but rather than build something and put something together, we, for lack of a better term, are going to destroy. Maybe a little more technical is we are going to disassemble. So what I want us to do is I want us to go over back to our main page here, our dashboard, and I know a lot of you guys have done this. We're going to go to the gallery. If you haven't, just click on that bad boy there. And I want us to search for something in particular. We can get a little more creative with this in a little bit. Now, I've already done one, but let's go ahead and type in X-Wing. Kind of fun. Okay, so we got a whole bunch of these things coming up. I have already opened a couple. This is the gold standard. It's the X-Wing. From 4 years ago. I think it was originally by a guy named English DD. There's a couple copies of it. It is a monster. What I want you to do, right click, and you see here where it says open a new tab. I've already done that, and it is still rendering. It is so incredibly mind-bogglingly dense that it takes a while for it to actually get to where you can start to work with it. That is a lot to handle. But let's have that going in the background. I want it in a separate tab. If you're unfamiliar with tabbed browsing, we will give you a hand. Another one I've done here, though, is the X-Wing Desprisen for our friends from Deutschland. Right-click on that boy, open a new tab. Got that guy up here. And what you want here, it says copy and tinker. Click on copy and tinker, and it will eventually let you do so. Whoa, we're sort of zoomed in, kind of fun. So I'm going to hit the home button, blam, and so we know what we're doing here. I'm going to click on this bad boy, but nothing's going to happen. Notice it is outlined in purple because it is locked. Unlock that bad boy. And to make our lives a little easier, I'm going to lower Super Awesome X-Wing and move the X-Wing over onto our work plane. What I want you to do, it doesn't have to be with this X-Wing, but find another one. This one works pretty darn well, is I want you to take it apart. By disassembling this, you are going to have insight into how someone else created this. They took a lot of time and a lot of love and a lot of skill. Super cool. In the act of dissecting and disassembling this wonderful creation, you will have insight as to how else to create things. So notice I click on it, nothing really happens. You guys are super clever. We've done our grouping. I want you to ungroup this bad boy. Now, that's not going to make everything go away because they have done so many groupings, but after you do that, make sure you click out here in nowhere. Trust me, there's a reason. And then just click, and then what I want you to do, I'm holding down the left button. I'm going to move it now, and we'll see what doesn't move. What? So looks like they had a double version of that in there. So let's go ahead, click on our bad boy again, and ungroup. Now I'm going to click here and move again, and we see some different components. And ungroup. Something else should get left behind. Always kind of fun. And ungroup again. Oops, not using my own rules there. Ooh, so we got a different part of the assembly off there. That's pretty cool. So I will ungroup again. Click in space, click on it, and drag. These are a lot of different parts. Go ahead and start exploring this for ourselves. All right, so really, again, sort of bottle that up. And if you've gotten to this point, great. If not, don't worry about it. We can work on this more some other time. This is just sort of extra fun, exciting things for you guys. So as we destroy, we're learning to create. We're getting insight in how someone did an incredible design. And that really is inspiring. And I think shows you in some small measure, no small measure, what is possible in just mind-bending stuff if you just attack and apply it. So let's go ahead and have at it. And I look forward to seeing some of you guys, if we can, in our Zoom face-to-face sessions in the coming week or so.